Groves can accommodate him with a customer on any terms from £4 a side to 40. With these words, the speaker tapped himself on the waistcoat to intimate that he was the Jem Groves so highly eulogized, sparred scientifically at a counterfeit Jem Groves who was sparring at society in general from a black frame over the chimney-piece, and, applying a half-emptied glass of spirits and water to his lips, drank Jem Groves's health. The night being warm, there was a large screen drawn across the room for a barrier against the heat of the fire. It seemed as if somebody on the other side of the screen had been insinuating doubts of Mr. Groves's prowess, and had thereby given rise to these egotistical expressions, for Mr. Groves wound up his defiance by giving a loud knock upon it with his knuckles, and pausing for a reply from the other side. "There aren't many men," said Mr. Groves, no answer being returned, "who would venture across Jem Groves under his own roof. There's only one man I know that has nerve enough for that, and that man's not 100 mile from here neither. But he's worth a dozen men, and I let him say of me whatever he likes in consequence. He knows that." In return for this complimentary address, a very gruff hoarse voice bade Mr. Groves hold his noise and light a candle, and the same voice remarked that the same gentleman needn't waste his breath in brag, for most people knew pretty well what sort of stuff he was made of. "Nell, they're playing cards," whispered the old man, suddenly interested. "Don't you hear them?" "Look sharp with that candle," said the voice. "It's as much as I can do to see the pips on the cards as it is. And get this shutter closed as quick as you can, will you? Your beer'll be the worse for tonight's thunder, I expect. Game. 7 and 6pence to me, old Isaac. Hand over." "Do you hear, Nell? Do you hear them?" whispered the old man again, with increased earnestness, as the money chinked upon the table.
"I haven't seen such a storm as this,"
said a sharp cracked voice of most disagreeable quality, when a tremendous peal of thunder had died away,
"since the night when old Luke Withers won 13 times running on the red. We all said he had the devil's luck on his own, and as it was the kind of night for the devil to be out and busy, I suppose he was looking over his shoulder if anybody could have seen him."
"Ah!" returned the gruff voice. "For all old Luke's winning through thick and thin of late years, I remember the time when he was the unluckiest and unfortunatest of men. He never took a dice box in his hand, or held a card, but he was plucked, pigeoned, and cleaned out completely." "Do you hear what he says?" whispered the old man. "Do you hear that, Nell?" The child saw with astonishment and alarm that his whole appearance had undergone a complete change. His face was flushed and eager, his eyes were strained, his teeth set, his breath came short and thick, and the hand he laid upon her arm trembled so violently that she shook beneath its grasp. "Bear witness," he muttered, looking upward, "that I always said it, that I knew it, dreamed of it, felt it was the truth, and that it must be so. What money have we, Nell? Come, I saw you with money yesterday. What money have we? Give it to me."
"No, no, let me keep it, grandfather," said the frightened child. "Let us go away from here. Do not mind the rain. Pray, let us go."
"Give it to me, I say," returned the old man fiercely. "Hush, hush! Don't cry, Nell. If I spoke sharply, dear, I didn't mean it. It's for thy good. I have wronged thee, Nell, but I will right thee yet. I will indeed. Where is the money?"
"Do not take it," said the child. "Pray do not take it, dear. For both our sakes, let me keep it, or let me throw it away. Better let me throw it away than you take it now. Let us go. Do let us go."
"Give me the money," returned the old man. "I must have it. There, there, that's my dear Nell. I'll right thee one day, child. I'll right thee, never fear." She took from her pocket a little purse. He seized it with the same rapid impatience which had characterized his speech, and hastily made his way to the other side of the screen. It was impossible to restrain him, and the trembling child followed close behind. The landlord had placed a light upon the table, and was engaged in drawing the curtain of the window. The speakers whom they had heard were two men who had a pack of cards and some silver money between them, while upon the screen itself the games they had played were scored in chalk. The man with the rough voice was a burly fellow of middle age, with large black whiskers, broad cheeks, a coarse wide mouth, and bull neck, which was pretty freely displayed, as his shirt collar was only confined by a loose red neckerchief. He wore his hat, which was of a brownish white, and had beside him a thick knotted stick. The other man, whom his companion had called Isaac, was of a more slender figure, stooping and high in the shoulders, with a very ill-favoured face, and a most sinister and villainous squint.
"Now, old gentleman," said Isaac, looking round, "do you know either of us? This side of the screen is private, sir."
"No offence, I hope," returned the old man.
"But, by God, sir, there is offence," said the other, interrupting him, "when you intrude yourself upon a couple of gentlemen who are particularly engaged."
"I had no intention to offend," said the old man, looking anxiously at the cards. "I thought that—"
"But you had no right to think, sir," retorted the other. "What the devil has a man at your time of life to do with thinking?" "Now, bully boy," said the stout man, raising his eyes from his cards for the first time, "can't you let him speak?" The landlord, who had apparently resolved to remain neutral until he knew which side of the question the stout man would espouse, chimed in at this place with, "Oh, to be sure, can't you let him speak, Isaac List?" "Can't I let him speak?" sneered Isaac in reply, mimicking as nearly as he could in his shrill voice the tones of the landlord. "Yes, I can let him speak, Jemmy Groves." "Well then, do it, will you?" said the landlord. Mr List's squint assumed a portentous character, which seemed to threaten a prolongation of this controversy, when his companion, who had been looking sharply at the old man, put a timely stop to it. "Who knows," said he, with a cunning look, "but the gentleman may have civilly meant to ask if he might have the honour to take a hand with us."
"I did mean it," cried the old man. "That is what I mean. That is what I want now."
"I thought so," returned the same man. "Then who knows but the gentleman, anticipating our objection to play for love, civilly desired to play for money?" The old man replied by shaking the little purse in his eager hand, and then throwing it down upon the table, and gathering up the cards as a miser would clutch at gold. "Oh, that indeed," said Isaac. "If that's what the gentleman meant, I beg the gentleman's pardon. Is this the gentleman's little purse? A very pretty little purse. Rather a light purse," added Isaac, throwing it into the air and catching it dexterously, "but enough to amuse a gentleman for half an hour or so." "We'll make a four-handed game of it, and take in Groves," said the stout man. "Come, Jemmy." The landlord, who conducted himself like one who was well used to such little parties, approached the table and took his seat. The child, in perfect agony, drew her grandfather aside, and implored him, even then, to come away.
"Come, and we may be so happy,"
said the child.
"We will be happy," replied the old man hastily. "Let me go, Nell. The means of happiness are on the cards and the dice. We must rise from little winnings to great. There's little to be won here, but great will come in time. I shall but win back my own, and it's all for thee, my darling." "God help us!" cried the child. "Oh, what hard fortune brought us here!"
"Hush!" rejoined the old man, laying his hand upon her mouth.
"Fortune will not bear chiding. We must not reproach her, or she shuns us. I have found that out."
"Now, mister," said the stout man, "if you're not coming yourself, give us the cards, will you?"
"I am coming,"
cried the old man,